Welcome to the Stable 26 Experience. My name's Dr. Daryl Sherman. Today we're going to talk about the function of the foot, footwear fitting, and how they both work together better. So the one thing I'd like to talk to you about first is we describe as negative space. Negative space is basically defined as areas around the foot, gaps around the foot that don't contribute to normal, solid foot mechanics. So that space is basically created by the fact that there's no piece of footwear in the world that's made exactly for your foot. They're made for average size feet. If we look at the average size 10.5 shoe, generally they come in size Ds and double Es, which means that we're trying to put most people's foot into a regular or wide category. We tend to focus at Stable 26 on the heel. The heel is a spot, we can measure the length of the foot and we can measure the width of the forefoot, but unfortunately we just can't measure the heel, and the heel is where all the mechanics happen. So because there's no piece of footwear in the world that's made exactly for your foot, our goal is to make it as close as possible, particularly in the most mechanical spot, which we can't measure. Okay, so the next step is, what is Stable 26? We know that there's negative space in and around the heel that detract for both comfort and performance. What we've done at Stable 26 is we've innovated in the sock industry. We have redefined socks as not being just yarn anymore. Socks are basically the point of connection between the mechanics of your feet and the mechanics of your footwear. And what we focus on at Stable 26 is improving the fit of everyone that leaves the store. At the end of the day, this is not a sock story, this is a fit story. We want everyone that wears footwear to have the best fitting footwear in a place that we can't measure, with the most mechanics happening at the same time. So what we've developed is a sock that can be custom modified with different thicknesses of silicone to take up the negative space around the heel and provide a better fit. At Stable 26, we've spent the last 7 years testing almost exclusively with pro athletes. This is not a product for pro athletes, it's a product for everyone. The reason for using pro athletes was they have custom fit footwear, they have apparently the best fitters, they have the ability to change their footwear before their footwear changes on them, and they have the highest physical demands. So vetting our product with professional athletes would allow us to vet ourselves with consumer market where you don't have all those options for custom fit footwear and the ability to change. The Stable 26 running product comes preloaded with a 4mm pad on the inside and a 6mm pad on the outside of the socks. A pair of socks, there's a mesh bag for washing. You do not have to take the silicone out to wash and dry. It comes with a full fitting guide to describe in detail the fitting process you go through. If you need different amounts of silicone, you can purchase a custom fit pack separate, which includes 2 extra 4mm pads and 2 extra 6mm pads. So here we have a very typical foot. I'm showing some anatomical landmarks. This is the rear foot, our midfoot, and our forefoot. This is the lateral malleolus, which we'll call the outside ankle bone. This is the medial malleolus, which we'll call the inside ankle bone. This is the fibula, which is the bone on the outside of the leg, and the tibia in front. If we take a look at other anatomical landmarks, the important part of the Stable 26 product are the lateral and medial stabilizers that help to stabilize the subtalar joint. The subtalar joint controls the entire foot in front of it as well as the entire lower extremity. And we can see how the subtalar joint moves as I move it directly. So we see the arch collapsing, and we see this joint is essentially the master control system for the foot in front of it and the lower extremity. So what we see here, if we look at the back of the foot, is this is a well-fitted shoe for this person here, and what we see is we're going to see areas of negative space in around the heel still. As we mentioned, we can measure the length of the foot and the width of the forefoot, but very difficult to measure the heel where it's very mechanically active and very important to the running stride. So we can see the fact that there is negative space here both sides. As a person fitting shoes, it's very difficult to tell exactly how much space there is and how much space we need to correct to make sure that that foot is more stable. Okay, so we fit Jesse up for some running shoes here. We used his previous socks before so that we could get a good idea that this is the right shoe for him. At the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to make sure that we get a shoe that most closely represents the shape of his foot. Then we use Stable 26 to ensure that it's the proper fit or the best fit before he leaves the store. So now that we've determined this is the right shoe for him, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through and do a fitting with him. So Jesse, I'm going to get you to put your foot up here. So this is our running mini sock, and what we want to do is we want to evaluate the position of the pockets. We want to make sure that the pockets are directly below and behind your ankle bones, inside and outside. If it rides up, it'll tend to be a little bit irritating. We have socks from extra small to extra large, all the way up to size 12.5 to 15. And we have guidelines on the box that tell you roughly what size of sock fits each size of foot. But at the end of the day, with so many different types of feet, that there's some variability in that. So we find that if you find that the pocket rides up over the ankle bone, that's an indication that the sock is too big. If you find that the pocket is down below the heel, it's an indication that the sock is too small and we need to go up a size. So you might find that a short, wide foot, you might need to increase the size. And if it's a long, narrow foot, you might need to drop the size. So in this case, we've got a really good fit underneath the ankle bones, both inside and outside. So what comes in the box here is a 4mm pad on the inside and a 6mm pad on the outside. The 4mm pad is the thinnest pad and the 6mm pad is the thicker pad. So in this instance, this is our starting point. So this is our starting point for fitting. We've kind of taken a lot of the guesswork out of it, and we're all going to start right here. So from this point, I'm going to ask Jesse to put the shoe on, and then we'll evaluate from there. Okay, so with the shoe on, we're going to start asking our questions. We've done a lot of asking of these questions when we originally fit him to ensure that he had the best fit possible with what was on our shoe wall. So now we're going to do the same thing. So we had a good fit before. The ultimate goal is to make sure that he has the best possible fit before he leaves. So we're going to ask the same questions. How does your heel fit? And the questions that we want to ask are to elicit as much detail as we can. So the things that we want to hear are that our heel, that Jesse's going to say, my heel is nice and supported. It doesn't feel like there's any pressure. I don't have pain. I don't have numbness. And it hasn't changed the way that the overall shoe fits. Negative feedback for a fitter is very, very positive in almost any instance because it allows us to determine where to go next. Okay, so now that we've been able to determine that, that it fits fairly well, we have no areas of numbness, we have no areas of pain or pressure, and it hasn't changed the way that his foot fits. Now we're going to ask him to go through a walking gait and a running gait just to make sure that we get proper feedback of that 26 movable bones working in that shoe. So after we did that, if the customer says, you know what, I felt like it's a little bit too much, then what we're going to do is we're going to drop the size. So we're going to go from a 4mm pad on the inside and a 6mm pad on the outside to a thinner pad on the outside. So we're going to move to 4 and 4. If he feels like there's still a little bit too much space, then our next step is to go up a size and use a 6mm pad on the inside and a 6mm pad on the outside. From there, we can have left side, a little bit different than the right side. So we can use a very simple fitting protocol, or we can get as complex as we need to with multiple sizes, multiple thicknesses, differences from side to side. So it's really up to you how much you want to take it to that next level. The ultimate goal here being that everyone leaves the store with the most stable feet and the best fitting pair of shoes possible. In running, optimal foot mechanics are essential. It's a very repetitive sport, so at the end of the day, our footwear has to fit. We can sell this product with brand new shoes with the goal being getting the best fit right off the shelf. The second one is shoes tend to break down fairly quickly as they go through use. They change from kilometer 1 to kilometer 10 to kilometer 40. At the end of the day, our goal is to make sure that the heel is stable as possible. And this is where we interject into people saying that in order to get the most out of that 10-kilometer run or a walk around the block is to have a good fitting pair of footwear. At Stable 26, our ultimate goal is to sell a concept of fit. We want to ensure that every single person coming through your store leaves the store with the best fit. This is not about selling socks. This is about ensuring that all of your customers have the best experience as they leave the store. Footwear is so important to us that we want that footwear to fit from start to finish. We developed a concept that we call dynamic boot fitting, and boot fitting or shoe fitting or skate fitting should be every bit as important at point of purchase as it is in month 2, in month 6, in month 60. So at the end of the day, fit equals performance and comfort.